beautiful wherever you go. And the rain in the summertime makes the wurzel bush grow. And it's pleasant to sit in the thunder and the hail, with your girlfriend on a termit clamp to hear the sweet nightingale.
Compilation of stuff this week. Basically, I've been quite busy, even if it has been quite warm. I've rebuilt a compost heap, and I'll show you how I've layered that out. We've lifted one of the nets on one of the Brassica beds because the greens were up touching the tops, and I've harvested out some Swedes and a shallot bed this morning. They're now drying in the sun nicely, and fingers crossed they'll turn into a good few jars of pickled shallots. So we'll go on to the videos now. Today's going to be all about compost. We all do it slightly different, usually end up with similar results. So this is a pit that's been going for approximately 2 months. I turned over the top layer from the pit next door into here 2 weeks ago. No, sorry, less than that, about a week ago. And temperature's sitting at 60 degrees Celsius, cooking along nicely. Just put a little topping of old, dryish compost on the top, ready to take the next lot of green. The green will be, if you bear with me, take you over here. Majority of the green is going to come from behind the greenhouse today. There's an embankment there on the left hand side that came from when we dug out the shed base. So that's all grown back in fresh. I've already harvested this out once, put in the compost heaps, but I'm going to get in there again today. Use the hedge trimmer to run up over the bank, take it off, put it into the compost heap, and then cover it with some wood shavings or whatever I can find as we go. So we'll come back to this later and let you see how we're getting on. So the bloody hedge cutter wouldn't start. Took it apart, cleaned it, did everything that's humanly possible, and it still won't start. So the stuff behind the greenhouse is going to have to stay where it is. Decided to start cutting some of the grass out the front. So this is the next layer. I don't put it down too thick. I don't expect it's only a couple inches thick, to be honest. There we go. It's in that deep, see, it's just down in there, about the depth of my fingers, so about 3-4 inches. That'll be plenty enough. And now what I'll do is I'll put on a layer of the wood flakes that we use for the cat tray. Obviously there's no solids in it, but if he's had a pee in it, it don't matter. That'll help the rotting down process. And then I'll put another layer of grass, and then I shall put a layer of sheep's wool. These are fleeces from a mate of mine down the road. They were shorn last year. Nobody wants them. If he tries to sell them, you get 25 pence each from them. Costing £2.50 each sheep to get them sheared, so there's no logic in it. But I've been told it'll compost. The heap certainly is a lot hotter. In the last few days of adding to it, it come up to 60 degrees this morning. And it was still climbing when I took the thermometer out, so we'll just continue and see if we can get them right up to the top today. There we go, finished layer of the wood flake, and I am absolutely positive that the urine in it accelerates the composting process, because the bins that I put it in always seem to come down quicker. But also the fact is that when you're putting the grass on afterwards, don't put it on too thick. If you put it on too thick, it'll go sludgy and horrible. If you put it on thin, that'll soon break down. That'll be cooking like a good one by tomorrow morning. And on we go till we get to the top. And then we seal it down. I usually put insulation foam over the top, and then a lump of wood over the top of that again, keep the rain out, and check it about once a fortnight to see what the moisture levels is like, and if it needs a bit of water, add a bit. If it don't, leave it alone. Time for the next layer. I'm going to put some fleece on now, and again we don't put that on too thick. It is, just tease it out fairly thin. This is all experimental, I've never done this before, so we'll see what happens. But judging by the stuff down underneath that have been in there a week or more, it don't half get hot. I don't know whether it's a lanolin in the wool or what it is, but something certainly makes a difference to the temperature. And we'll see how we go with this one. This is quite a good experiment. But mainly what I'm trying to establish is the fact that there's a lot of people on the internet that are stating that they get a ton of compost out of each compost bin made of pallets. Well, that is actually impossible. You physically can't do it, not unless you're doing about 3 loads every year in the same bay, because you can fill it right to the top of water, so that'd be about 1,000 litres, and that's a ton. If you did it with, say, apples, you'd have about 350 kilos. So I'm judging that once you've filled them up with grass cuttings and wool and bits and pieces, you're probably looking at about 750 kilos. Well, by the time that's dropped down, you're going to end up with about 350 kilos if you're lucky. So if anybody tells you they get a ton out of one of these bins, I should ask them what they've been drinking. There we go. Bin's filled right at the top now, and I finished off with a layer of grass and then a layer of the fleece to keep the warmth in. But I'm still going to put my sheets of foam on the top. I do find that this really helps to keep the moisture and the heat in the bed. And to be fair, that'll sweat like hell in there. And that's it, all in all. Good project today. Tomorrow's another one. Remember, you can't eat the grass. Brussels sprouts are starting to outgrow the tunnel again, and I just realised that I've actually put on the wrong sections on the arches to get the height, but they're actually up and touching the sides and up nearly up to the top now. And this one next door, well, we're just about to revamp this one. We'll put some extensions in and bring the height of the hoops up in the air by about another foot. That should give us enough then until we can take the covers off completely once the cabbage whites are gone. But there's a few about, but I haven't seen so many as I normally see. So that's today's little project, and all we do is have conduit with a stub of underfloor heating pipe stuck out the end of it and screwed in place so it can't sink, and then we'll lift off the nets, remove the arches for a minute and bring them up by a foot, and I'll show you the results in a while. So there you go, you can see the difference in height. That's raised it up a good foot. The cauliflowers at the back have now got some more room to breathe, and there's some space coming available in the front here now. I've finished taking out the broccoli. The major problem I do have is the Brussels sprouts have gone mad this year. Normally I'd get away with 2 rows in a 4-foot bed. This year the ones down through this side are a good 4 foot wide on their own. They should have been in the middle of the bed, so we'll have to address that problem next year. Anyway, keeps me amused. Gonna start harvesting out some of the shallots. They're going over. Far end of the row is actually quite yellow. I don't think there's going to be a lot left if I leave them any longer. I don't think they'll do any better, so I'm going to start clearing these out. The one thing I would say is always use a fork just to loosen them just slightly underneath. Don't just pull them. If you do, you'll damage them and then they'll rot and they don't keep. Or in my case, I want them as perfect as possible, because I expect most of them will go in the pickle jars, because I do love pickled shallots. So all you need to do, just loosen them a little bit, make them come up easier. Oh, got a beetroot there with that one. These are starting to split out, see, in the middle. They gotta come out. And it's quite dry in there. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of cleaning up to do on these, but still they'll be alright. They'll make for good shallots. And what I'll do is I'll come back later on and let you see what we got in the wheelbarrow once we've finished. So there we go, that's the whole bed cleared out, apart from some little beetroot at the far end. They got to come out. They were module sown, 3 to a module put in. They ain't come on, they ain't done very much. I'm personally thinking of going back to growing them singly. At least singly I get a decent sized beetroot instead of marbles I throw on a compost heap. So the shallots were hit and miss, due to the fact that what I'd done to try and save some space earlier on in the season was I planted some swede in next to them, and the swede ain't done too bad. They had to come out. Some of them are quite big, a lot of little ones, but they'll all chop up and freeze, so you know, it is all stuff we can eat. And a wheelbarrow full of shallots. I've got to go up and find somewhere to put them to dry in the sun now. So that's the next job. Catch you later on. And there they are lying in the sun. Well, it's nearly all of them. There's just a few little tackers I've left in the wheelbarrow. They can dry off a little bit. They'll probably end up going in for pickling tomorrow. I don't mind them a little bit green for pickling. In actual fact, you're getting nice flavour with them that way. But good harvest that in the swede. So whilst they're cooking in the sun quietly, I'll go and get the swede, take them in and process them for the freezer.